Hello, welcome back to my channel. In case you have already been subscribed here, has been a really long time. Otherwise, hello, it's really nice to meet you. To summarize, my name is Naomi. I'm 29 years old, and as you could guess by the title, I have been living in Belgium for around 500 days. It's really interesting because I'm not really sure why, but ever since I moved here, every time I meet someone, the first questions that they ask me, especially people who live here, is like, why did you choose Belgium? So I thought it could be, interesting to record a video and talk a little bit about how the experience of living here for so long has been and a little about expectations or reality. Actually, I'm not really sure what I'm going to say because my boyfriend is going to interview me for this video. We thought it would be a format to make it a little more organic, I would say, without having to pretend that people send me questions on a question box on Instagram. So yeah, without further ado, can we get started, babe? By the way, I'm very sorry if I sound pretty nasal. It's spring here, and yeah, allergies are not a joke. But yeah, I decided that I have to leave perfectionism aside a little bit and just do it. So yeah, now actually, let's go. Hit me up, babe.
How do you feel after 15 months in Europe?
Okay. I feel happy, I guess. Not gonna lie, it gets harder after like 1 year without going back home. I am Brazilian. So it's not a short trip to go visit my family and my friends. And yeah, after a while, you start really missing home. But at the same time, I have the feeling that when I go back, is also not going to be the same. It feels like home here now, and yeah, I feel happy. But of course, it's not perfect. Being an immigrant is never going to be perfect. So yeah, maybe not as excited as I was the day that I arrived. You kind of normalize things a little bit after a while, but yeah, I feel happy. Thank you for asking.
Not tired?
Tired of Europe? Nah, there's too much diversity in Europe, like too many people, too many different things, and too many options for you to get tired or bored of it. Ooh, it was an easy pick actually because my situation was I was still living in Brazil. I was taking part of a process to join a really cool company based in Berlin, in Germany. But yeah, the something about working in Europe, like it's not as fast. I don't know in anywhere else in the world, but like for us in Brazil, like you have an interview, you have the second one, and then tops a third one, and then you're hired, you start working in 1, 2 weeks. Here it takes a while. So I started this process in like October, and the position was to start in January. So in a nutshell, I had a really close friend who lived in Brussels. And well, due to my life circumstances at the moment, I guess that opens a whole other topic. But I thought it would be good to have like a trial run in the month of December before I started working to, you know if I would adapt to the lifestyle here, because I knew that there would be a pretty big cultural shock. So it was like, oh, let's have a month to try it out. And then, well, a lot of things happened, but as you could tell, I have never actually gone to Germany. I got a job here pretty fast. And yeah, I guess the point is more like why you stay than why you come to a certain place.
So, how have you prepared yourself, both psychologically and practically?
So, well, I guess that psychologically, at the same time that I could say that I've been preparing for this for forever, because I wanted to move to Europe since I had the idea when I was like 15 years old. And it's something that I kept wanting to do. But in reality, I guess nothing really prepares you emotionally and psychologically to live abroad for the first time. But yeah, for me, it was really important to guarantee that I was like in a good mental state. So it was an idea that I was visiting for Rio for a year, and was talking to people about it and trying to get to know how the customs are here. And then it gets to the more practical part. For me, they're really attached actually, because not knowing the practical part gives me anxiety, and then it messes with the psychological part. But in terms of bureaucracy, for me, it was relatively easy, I would say, because I do have an Italian passport. So the whole bureaucracy for immigration is quite simple because it's like anyone can move to any country pretty much within the European Union. But I had to look for example, I was taking medication at the time. So can I buy the medication in that country? How much does it cost? How much money do I need to live there? And how much do I have to save beforehand? And well, I don't really have a precise number on that. I guess it really depends on the circumstances to which you're moving to a new place. In my case, I was staying with a friend, so there was no rent to worry about. That was a huge relief. So yeah, I had the money that I had gathered, which was not a lot. The plane ticket, it varies a lot. My mom bought me actually, it was a gift from her, a one-way ticket here. At the time, it cost 3,500 Brazilian reals, which let's divide by 7 is around 500 euros for a one-way ticket. Was that it? 3,500? I don't remember anymore. But yeah, that was the thing. Like it was a last minute decision because I was, how do you say? Yeah, I was fired in the job. I was trying to look for a more polite term. I was canned. I think that's worse. Yeah, so I lost my job in Brazil, so I had the money from, leaving a job. And the she bought the ticket, and the idea showed up after I lost this job and I was already doing the thing for Germany. Then my mom said, "Oh, why don't you do it?" And we looked for the plane tickets thinking, okay, let's check how much it costs. And the thing is, like, there was this really cheap ticket for 3 weeks from there. And then I was like, okay, let's do it because the price difference was absurd. So I already had my passport. I had done it in the beginning of the year. That's also a whole other chapter because it's complicated when it's the first time issuing your passport or to renovate it, the Italian passport, I mean. And then I had 3 weeks to like cancel all my bills and, I had my own apartment, so kind of planning what to do with it. And yeah, I guess I'm not really a great example to give on this because it was a not impulsive choice, but a lot of things were kind of improvised. And I was also really, really lucky and really blessed to, have a family who accepted to take care of it, to have a friend. Hannah, thank you so much, by the way, who helped me take care of a lot of things that I had to leave behind unattended, including my dog. But again, yeah. No. Okay. That's a long one. So my flight, my itinerary was leaving my hometown Curitiba, then taking a flight to São Paulo. It's a 45-minute flight usually. Then taking a flight from São Paulo to Madrid and then Brussels. The flight was on the 28th of November, 2023. And yeah, I was supposed to arrive in Brussels on the 29th. However, what happened was in Curitiba, my first flight was kind of delayed. When I got in São Paulo, it was like rush, rush, rush. Of course, and like anyone who has been to Guarulhos airport, it's a mess. And my boarding gate was not there. So I was just like following people. And when I arrived there, actually, I was not late because my flight was late. So it was like, okay, let's get something to eat. I was really, really hungry and really anxious. And yeah, since I was moving, I had like two dispatched large luggage. I had one carry-on, which was much heavier, like really, really heavy, and another backpack that was weighing like 15 kilograms or something. And since I was coming to like winter, I also had a heavy like fur jacket because, yeah, I assumed it would be cold when I arrived here. However, in Brazil, it was summer, so it was hell. Right after my food arrived, they announced a voucher for the food, so I lost money on that too. So the flight was delayed to like 3 in the morning. I took a nap. And when I woke up, the flight had been canceled. So it was like, oh, you have to retrieve your dispatched luggage and go to the LATAM. It's the lovely airplane company that flew me here. guichet. So yeah, wait to get an accommodation for the night. In a nutshell, it was 7:30 in the morning when they announced that they were not going to provide any more hotels because it was all booked. So yeah, I tried to find somewhere to stay in the São Paulo airport. Someone said something about a VIP room that did not require like a super fancy credit card, which I did not have. So yeah, it was like a pay to use VIP room. And then they said, oh, but you cannot enter there with your luggage. So I found a locker to leave that. It was a fortune. It was like 200 Brazilian reals or something like that. It was like way too much. I found the VIP room. I took a nap. I took a shower. I left when it was like about time for me to go. And then I could not remember where the damn lockers were because I was like without any sleep. It was really bad. So yeah, I had a really bad panic attack at the airport. At that moment, like I was waiting to dispatch my luggage. I already had the tags, but I was like really, really crying. Like really, really crying. So the two guys who were like in the queue, like in front of behind me, were like, "Are you okay?" Then they saw that I was like freaking out, and they found someone to help me. The guy said, "No, I'll handle it from here." Important detail now. And he said, "Oh, you already have your boarding tickets for your connection in Madrid." And then I said, "No, I don't." He asked, "How long is your connection?" I said 5 hours. And he said, "You know what? It's okay. I'll solve everything. I'll dispatch your luggage. I'll tie everything. I'll put it in the system. And you have 5 hours. You can just get your boarding ticket when you arrive there." I mean, what else could I say? So I just went through. An elderly lady stopped me to ask if I wanted a wheelchair because I didn't look like I could walk on my own. And I mean, that's a very embarrassing fact, but I always include this when I'm telling the story because, I didn't think I looked so bad, but thinking back, it's like if an elderly person who requested a wheelchair said, "Hey, honey, can I help you?" Yeah, it was probably pretty bad. But yeah, I took my flight. It was a delight. The food was great. The airplane was new. It was the first time that I had one that doesn't have like the ta 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 windows. Like it was, amazing. I arrived and yeah, I got lost in the airport at Madrid. It's much bigger than Guarulhos. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I took the bus, went to the terminal to retrieve my boarding ticket, and it was a Brussels Airlines flight. It was closed and it only opened like on boarding time. So I had some hours to do absolutely nothing there. And yeah, I went to the toilet at one point, and when I left, the queue was huge, of course. Had 3 hours to pee. But yeah, at that moment when it was my turn, they told me that Latam had never paid for my original plane ticket. Like they made a reservation, but they didn't pay for it. There was no confirmation. So I had to take the bus, like inside the airport, to go to the other terminal, back again. It was 8 minutes. There were no public phones to use. I did not have an European SIM card. Huge mistake. And yeah, my dad was able, like I called him on WhatsApp, and then he was able to use the phone in Brazil to call a Tom to get the thing. And then they didn't let me board anyway later because they said that the systems accused that I was still in Brazil. Like I missed my flight in Brazil, so I could not take a flight in Madrid if I were in Brazil, even though I was right in front of her. They said that I would need to take the next available flight. And that was the next day. So I had to sleep in Madrid for another day. And when I arrived in Brussels the next day, my luggage was not here. Yeah, there are more details to that story, but it's getting really, really long.
So now,
I was going to say the mentality, but that's a tricky answer because it's also a problem. But no, for real, like the simple fact that I do stuff on foot and I don't depend on my car, especially because I don't have one anymore. But yeah, like the fact that people here don't really live with the purpose of like working and having more money and, you know, just greed is not really a part of the mentality here. And it really helped me slow down a lot and review a lot of my life choices because, I mean, I have considered myself a workaholic since like the age of, I don't know, 18, 19. because I've always worked a lot nonstop and I could not see my life without it. And like at some point, I saw that my life was revolving around work. And here, it's not really how it works. I mean, it kind of blows when you're going somewhere and places are closed and you think like, oh, people here don't like working. But it's a really nice stuff and a big stereotype, I would say, because yeah, people like that exist everywhere. But yeah, it's just different. The fact that work is not the top priority in people's lives and that you can just enjoy or try to enjoy a more slow lifestyle, I would say, in general. In Brazil, I was going to the gym every single day, like 6 times a week. I would spend usually I spend more calories here, burn more calories here, like just having a normal day in which I'm active and walking around and doing my stuff rather than like how it was there. So yeah, it's just healthier on the mind and healthier on the body, I would say. And that's what, drives me the most about being here. And also the security. I mean, Europe is not as it used to be in terms of being super safe. Of course, like there's crime here, but you cannot compare it to Brazil. And that is one thing that I take for granted a lot, like after a while, like, because there, it's not something that you can think about. Oh, I don't know how to get somewhere. I'm going to walk somewhere. I'm going to get my phone and follow Google Maps. Not a good idea. Here, even in the regions that people say like it's a little more dangerous, you can still do it, but being a little more discreet and minding your stuff. It's not like you're anywhere and you have to worry about two guys in a bike. So, in a motorcycle. So, yeah. And well, the people that I've met, of course. It's everything. The thing is, like, about Belgium itself, I did not have a lot of expectations when you come to think of it because it was meant to be more of a temporary place for me anyway. And I had my conceptions about coming to Belgium as a tourist before. And it's really funny because I thought of Belgium and Brussels as like a really chill place, mostly, yeah, empty streets. And I really don't know what happened when I came to Belgium the other times because right after I moved here, I saw that it was really not like that. So it was a pleasant surprise in that way, like thinking about yeah, in the beginning, I was going out a lot. That was really pleasant. And mainly my connection with people, like how easy it was to make friends. And yeah, the hospitality in general. Yeah, Brazilian people are usually scared of moving to Europe because the way of people connecting is kind of different. But here, honestly, I found everyone really friendly. It was like you go out and you just meet people. And yeah, the food is good. I didn't really expect much of it, but I like it. I didn't like have any misconceptions like Belgian food. But yeah, uh, I don't think anything was like a bad surprise. The stuff that I don't like about here were things that I kind of knew already, like the lack of toilets. So that was not it was like disappointed but not surprised. I didn't think much through the domiciliation process because the thing is like my friend who I moved in, she moved here a long time ago. And then I assumed that the bureaucracy for me to get like my ID card would be something. And it was way more complex than that. But I also found out that that really depends on the commune that you're living. So yeah, the bureaucracies in general. And the biggest one, yeah. I don't want to say getting fired. But yeah, in general, like I feel like I was naive about some stuff here in terms of job opportunities. Like I believed in things that people were telling me, and like the thing is like when you come from Brazil, especially about work and like getting scammed and stuff like that, you're pretty sharp usually. Like we know how to avoid it. But in a certain way, I came here thinking like, oh, it's okay, nothing is gonna happen to me. So yeah, like I got my bike stolen. My AirPods were stolen in the like administrative hall of the commune. And then when I tried to buy new used ones, it was a scam and it was fake ones. So yeah, I guess in those types of ways, like I was really disappointed with myself mainly. Like seriously, I moved here for this to happen
You
here.
let your guard down from
I let my guard down. Yeah, like yeah, it's the phone holding thing. It makes you silly. My healthcare journey here in Brazil, to buy like any psychiatric medication, like medication for anxiety, stuff like that, you have to go to a psychiatrist. Here, you don't. You go to a general practitioner and you inform them that you're taking it, and then they give you the prescription, especially if you still have the box. So, what I did was like my psychiatrist in Brazil wrote me my diagnosis, let's say, on a paper together with the medications that I was taking, and the expectations would be like, okay, I'm going to do like bring my medication from Brazil. I'm going to look for a psychiatrist, but if it takes a little while, it's okay because I have this. And yeah, I didn't really worry about translating the document, like official translation of the document and etc. And that got me in a position that, yeah, it was really tricky. Like I had to translate it like later on, and it's really really hard to find a psychiatrist in Belgium. I still don't have a psychiatrist here, and yeah, it's really hard. And also like learning French. If I had known that I would stay in Belgium, I would have focused on learning French. But since I was planning on moving to Germany, I studied 1 year of German. And now I can either do nothing with that or move to the little tiny part of Belgium that speaks German, which I won't. So yeah, I would have studied French instead of German, I guess. Those are the two things, like being more medically prepared and I don't know, like having the diagnosis since the first time and just fighting more to find a doctor since the beginning.
like you from the present and talk to the Naomi that's about to leave. Would you tell her like
That's complicated because at the same time that like I feel really stupid for being naive, I do not think that it's my fault for trusting people. And it's not like no one told me here. Like when I was buying the used AirPods, everyone told me like, "Oh, if the person who is selling this item is belongs to like this group, it's likely a scam." And I remember thinking like that's BS because that's what some people could say about my own country, and I'm not gonna believe it. And then it turns out it was a scam, and I was wrong. But I mean, like, would I go back and tell past Naomi like, yeah, don't trust certain people? No, that's kind of screwed up too. And I think I would rather make my mistakes again than think of myself as, you know, a person who looks down on other people due to a stereotype, which is something that I really don't like when people do to me.
so to change a little bit the subject, what places have you
Well,
visited?
there goes another kind of regret, not planning to travel more, honestly, because I think it's a shame that I'm really like in the middle of stuff and I haven't traveled much since I arrived. So pretty much since I got here, I've only been to like a couple other places in Belgium. So I've been to Namur, to Dinant, which is in the Wallonian part, really, really beautiful. And on the Flemish part, I've been to Antwerp, to Bruges, and to Ghent. For visiting, touristing, it was pretty much that. We went to my boyfriend's parents' house. They live in the south of France too. I went to Amsterdam once when my mom was here. Yeah, I was also in Morocco. That was really, really nice. But that was pretty much it. I mean, it's really easy. Traveling from here is really affordable. Like if you have an okay salary, it's something that you can plan on doing like every now and then. For me, it was kind of complicated because when I got here with everything that happened with the journey here and there was more to that story that I didn't share, it was just a little overwhelming. So I didn't want to do anything. Even like recording stuff for the internet, it was my plan to vlog the entire journey. I think I still have some clips that like from the airport in Brazil. But when I got here, I was just like not in the mood. And yeah, I was really blessed to have traveled across Europe before. So it's not like I had this urge to visit these places. And I guess that's also a mentality that you have like when you're a tourist versus when you live somewhere. Because when you're a tourist, it's like this FOMO of like I have to visit every single place and I have to go everywhere in the smallest amount of time possible. And at least for me, like when I live somewhere, it's like, oh, I live here. I can go there some other time. So, generally speaking, most people speak English, I would say, especially here in Brussels. So, for your day to day life, it's very unlikely that you're going to, have a lot of trouble not speaking French, which is the most spoken language, officially speaking, I would say. Flemish is not officially for Brussels, right? Yeah, it is. So, okay. So, yeah, they're the both languages. I haven't really met many people who speak Flemish here. Yeah, for bureaucratic stuff, also depends on the commune. In the place where I live, it's known for having like a lot of immigrants, I would say. So everyone in the commune for the administrative stuff spoke English, like when I had to get my ID card and stuff like that. Finding doctors, it's also possible, but it all depends on where you are and on your budget. About Brazilian people coming here, I guess it depends because I cannot assume that everyone in Brazil speaks English. If you speak English, yeah, you can, and then you learn on the go here. But beware, like not only for Brazilians, but for anyone who's coming here without speaking French or Flemish, you're gonna have a bit of a hard time to practice it because, as I said, a lot of people here are immigrants, and a lot of people don't speak French too. And the people who do speak French don't really have the patience to switch to French with you when they speak English. So, I mean, there have been situations in which, like, I was in a shop and I needed to buy something, or I was at the doctor and it was an emergency and they did not speak English and I had to, like, find my way with French. But it's more like I am trying to practice. They get that I have an awkward accent and, or that I'm taking too long to say something, and it's like automatically switching to English. And yeah, that really gets in the way of learning it. So I guess it really depends. Like, I don't want to be the person who says it's impossible to, because yeah, it is. But I guess it really depends on the type of people that you're meeting and how much effort you're putting into it too. There are French classes and Flemish classes that you can take here. They're not as accessible as I initially thought they would be. Like, I remember when I got here, I was planning on taking French classes, which I was told by a couple people that would be free. It was like 200 euros per month or something like that, or 150 euros per month. And at the time, I was like, wow, that was one of the cheapest options. If you go to Alliance Francaise, it's much more too. So it all depends on the budget that you have. And for people who don't speak English, like if you're Brazilian, you only speak Portuguese. Yeah, you can. And there are places here that, there's a lot of Brazilians. You could even, I'm not sure, like having a life, but it's the type of thing that starts getting your life a little too complicated. And in my opinion, I think it's better to just get a little more prepared before you go somewhere. Unless you have a really solid plan to like arrive in a place and study the language. Otherwise, your life becomes hell because everything depends on other people. And I can speak from experience here, like for all the stuff that do require French, because yeah, it's more specific situations. And that I need to take my boyfriend with me every single time because my French is not good enough. It feels really bad. And I really hold it against myself. Like, oh, damn, I've been living here for over a year and I don't speak like really great French. But yeah, I guess it really depends on the circumstances. Weather wise, I think it can be tough for a lot of people. It's really personal. I tell some friends, like, you really should move here because I think they would really adapt to the customs. But like most of Brazilian people that I have met here are not from the south like I am. They're more from like Goiás and the northeast. They complain a lot about the weather and they're not really happy here. So yeah, the weather is something that you definitely have to consider. The lack of sun, for even like I'm from Curitiba and we don't have that much sun, but like I remember during winter here, like this beginning of the year, it took weeks into the first day with sunlight, and it's tough. The seasonal depression really hits you, and if it's something that like kind of happens to you in Brazil, expect it to be much worse here when it switches from autumn to winter. It's tricky how long the days last, and it's just a lot of stuff to adapt. I guess that is one of the biggest impacts for me here. However, it's only a couple of times a year and then you get adjusted to it. But you get used to the season, and by the time that you're really getting used to it, you already have to go through the change again. It's not mild. Because in Brazil, the changes of the seasons are really mild. No, here it's like really obvious. Today, it's spring. You look outside the window and there are flowers outside. And now it's winter. So the days are going to last 5 hours less than they did during summer. Some people really adapt to it. It's not like people have a bad image of Brazilian people here. That was a misconception that I had. I thought that, you know, people would look down on me sometimes for being Brazilian, but that never happened. They actually find Brazilian people in general like hardworking people, I would say. But then again, like I come from a really privileged position of having the Italian passport and already speaking English. So I don't feel like I'm the best person to give advice, because I also don't want to be condescending. Like if you don't have access to like an European passport, you shouldn't do it. But my advice is like there are plenty of ways to come here and build a life. Like you can come with a student visa and stuff like that. And that's the general perspective that I have on it. Like plan ahead and do it in a way that's not going to cause you anxiety later on. You know what I mean? That's one of the main reasons why I stayed, right? Because I want to have kids, and this is a really good place for it. Like the price of education, and even the price for me to go back to studying now, because I want to have a master's. It's something that was quite unachievable when I was in Brazil, and here it's like, yeah, you can do it. And also, like, it depends on your age. Because, like, life here is much cheaper when you're below 24, 25. Like, for transportation and all that stuff. Like, in those terms, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. Like, damn, I moved here when I was 27, turning 28 already. I did not enjoy any of the perks of being young in Europe. Because, yeah, after that, you have to pay the full adult price for stuff. Bullshit. The last year was really rough. I guess like since the moment I bought that plane ticket, my life just turned upside down, and it's been a journey, honestly. But I don't regret it. I think I am happy now, and it's something that like not only I think, but everyone around me that knew me before knows how much the changes of environment changed my life. Of course, then it's not only about being in Europe, it's about being in, you know, a healthy environment in general, and away from the situations that I put myself in when I moved there too. So there is a personal side to it. It's not like, oh, if you have problems, just move to Belgium and everything is going to be fixed. I found myself enjoying things that I never thought I would here, such as like being in the middle of the woods. It's something that I was terrified about, and I still am, but now it's something that I kind of look forward to developing a little more. And yeah, just my relationship with everything changed a lot, and I am happy about most of those changes. Besides the moments that I'm like self-sabotaging myself and thinking that, you know, I made a huge mistake and that I have to open Skyscanner and book the first ticket that I find to Curitiba. But I guess it's like something kind of like every immigrant goes through that at some point, you know, like in some days, everything is just so tough and you just wanted to like, I don't know, have this comfort food from your country and see your family, and none of that is possible. And it's like, what am I doing with my life? But then I remember all the stuff that I spoke for the past, I don't know, hour that we have been recording this video. I tried to focus on the fact that I've always wanted to do this, and despite me trying to tell myself that I'm not in a great place, I know that I am. Even though things are not perfect, they're much better than they used to be. I would not change a thing, I guess. I would numb myself up a little more to the reaction of stuff. So that were all the questions for everyone that stayed this long, especially the friends who have already listened to all these stories before. Thank you very much for staying. If you have any suggestions or questions that we could make for future videos, can be about my life in Belgium or any other topic, please leave it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I hate having to say this, but yeah, I guess it's a part of the deal. And I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.